When the locker room knows who should start, but the coach doesn't listen, chaos is coming.
On Dylan Gabriel before we see Shedeur Sanders on the field?
Hard to say, but they're not in a huge rush to drag Dylan out of there. And think about it this way. If you have a third-round pick and you want to see what he can do and you want to try to develop him, he has started 5 games. Why would you want him to only start 5 games and then have your 5th-round pick start the next 8 games?
I don't concern myself with outside type of things, but I'm committed to his development, just like all of our rookies. So we'll continue to focus on getting our guys better, and that's what we'll stay committed to, and that's what's important to me.
And did you, I'm sure you kind of answered this last night, but why didn't you keep him in for the 2-minute, or why did you decide to take him out?
Yeah, nothing more than decided to give Snoop some work at the end of the game.
Mary Kay Cabot just dropped a bombshell that has Shedeur Sanders fans furious. The most trusted Browns insider in Cleveland just went on record defending Kevin Stefanski's decision to keep DTR as the starter. And what she said about Shedeur is causing absolute chaos in the fan base. While the entire city is screaming for Shedeur to get his shot, Mary Kay is out here making excuses about development and letting him sit and learn, as if a 5th-round Heisman Trophy winner needs to ride the pine while a struggling 3rd-rounder gets endless chances. But here's where it gets really interesting, because buried in her interview, there are hints that maybe, just maybe, the Browns organization knows something we don't about Shedeur's future in Cleveland. And trust me, by the end of this video, you're going to see why this whole situation might actually work out in Shedeur's favor, even if it doesn't look that way right now. So let me paint the picture for you. It's Tuesday morning, November 11th, and Mary Kay Cabot sits down for her regular weekly hit on Cleveland Sports Radio. The Browns are coming off yet another heartbreaking loss to the Jets, and I'm not talking about a normal loss here. I'm talking about a game where they gave up 2 special teams touchdowns in 36 seconds. 36 seconds, a kickoff return and a punt return back-to-back that literally ripped victory from their hands. DTR actually played decent in this game, but decent isn't good enough when you're sitting at 3-5 and your fan base is ready to riot. The hosts asked Mary Kay the question that everyone in Cleveland wants answered. How long is the leash on DTR before we see Shedeur Sanders on the field? And this is where things get spicy, my friends. This is where Mary Kay basically tells the entire Browns fan base that they don't understand how football works.
I do think that they want to see him for the foreseeable future.
Mary Kay, the one thing about this, and you talk to people all the time, we talk to people all the time, and they immediately think, you need to play Shedeur, and get him out there. The whole concept of letting a young guy sit, develop, and learn seems lost on a lot of people, especially when they clearly liked one guy more than the other.
Well, I think right now what everyone needs to realize is the Browns are continuing to bring Shedeur Sanders along. They're not punishing him. They're not stashing him away in some kind of room where nobody can see him. They're not doing wrong by Shedeur Sanders. They're bringing him along at the pace they feel he needs to be brought along at, but they're really excited about what they're seeing in Shedeur. And so they're not going to trade Shedeur away before they know what they have in him. They're excited about what they're seeing. And the thing that they're seeing the most is the thing that they've already known about him, and that is his elite accuracy. He's got a natural feel for the game in that way. So they're excited to see that. And it's probably going to happen at some point this season. I don't know when. Dylan's going to have to find a way to score some points to keep his job. But at some point, Shedeur is going to get a chance to go out there and show off that elite accuracy and do what he can do with this offense. But once again, I don't think it's going to be easy for anybody throwing passes to, this young and sort of inexperienced group right now.
Listen to how she responds. She says, and I quote, "They're not in a huge rush to drag Dylan out of there." Not in a huge rush? The dude has started 5 games. 5 games where the team is losing, where he's getting sacked 6 times a game, where the offense looks completely lost half the time, and Mary Kay is sitting here acting like 5 games isn't enough of a sample size? But it gets better. She then drops this absolute gem of logic on us. She asks, if you have a 3rd-round pick, and you want to see what he can do, and you want to try to develop him, he has started 5 games. Why would you want him to only start 5 games and then have your 5th-round pick start the next 8 games? Why would you do that? Let me make sure I heard that right. She's asking why you would bench a struggling 3rd-round quarterback to give playing time to your 5th-round quarterback. Except wait a minute. We're not talking about just any 5th-rounder here. We're talking about Shedeur Sanders, the same Shedeur Sanders who won the Heisman Trophy. The same Shedeur Sanders who was projected to go in the first round by multiple analysts before the draft. The same Shedeur Sanders that half the league was trying to figure out how to trade up for. And Mary Kay is reducing him to your 5th round pick, like he's some project player who needs 3 years on the bench before he sees the field? That's disrespectful, plain and simple. That's treating Shedeur like he's nobody when everyone with eyes knows he's got more talent in his pinky finger than Dylan Gabriel has in his entire body.
And there's nothing wrong with letting Shedeur sit and learn and hope that he becomes a great quarterback down the road.
Right. That is a lost art, like you said, now in the NFL. Everyone thinks everybody has to play right now. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. If they really liked Dylan Gabriel, that's why they targeted him. That's why they drafted him in the 3rd round.
But here's what really gets me fired up about this whole thing. Mary Kay knows better. She's been covering the NFL for decades. She knows that draft position doesn't always reflect talent. She covered Tom Brady. She knows 6th-rounders can be Hall of Famers. She knows 1st-rounders can be busts. So why is she sitting here using draft position as the primary argument for why Dylan Gabriel deserves more time? The answer is simple. She's protecting Kevin Stefanski. She's protecting Andrew Berry. She's protecting the Browns front office that made these draft decisions, and she's doing it by throwing Shedeur Sanders under the bus in the process. Let's talk about what actually happened in that Jets game for a second. Because Mary Kay is out here praising Tommy Rees's play calling and talking about how Dylan showed improvement. She mentions how they moved Dylan out of the pocket more, got him on the run, involved Jerry Jeudy early and often with 10 targets in the first half. She talks about how the offense was more up-tempo, more aggressive, more confident. You know what all that tells me? It tells me that Tommy Rees had to completely redesign the offense around Dylan Gabriel's limitations just to get him to look competent against one of the worst defenses in the NFL. The Jets defense isn't exactly the 85 Bears out there. This is a team that's struggling across the board, and Dylan needed all these special accommodations just to put up mediocre numbers before special teams lost them the game. Now imagine what Tommy Rees could do with Shedeur Sanders. Imagine the quarterback who doesn't need the offense simplified. Imagine a quarterback who can actually read defenses pre-snap. Imagine a quarterback with the arm talent to hit tight window throws that Dylan Gabriel can't even see, let alone attempt. That's what's so frustrating about this whole situation. Everyone can see the potential except the people making the decisions.
Right. That is a lost art, like you said, now in the NFL. Everyone thinks everybody has to play right now. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. If they really liked Dylan Gabriel, that's why they targeted him. That's why they drafted him in the 3rd round. So I don't think they're going to give him the quick hook. They want to see what he can do.
And Mary Kay is sitting here defending those decisions with weak arguments about development and patience. She literally says in the interview, the whole concept of letting a young guy sit, develop, and learn seems lost on a lot of people, especially when they clearly liked one guy more than the other on draft night. Oh, so now Browns fans are stupid for wanting to see their best quarterback play? Now we don't understand the lost art of development? Give me a break. You know what's actually lost? Common sense. The ability to recognize when your starter isn't cutting it and your backup might be special. She's acting like Shedeur Sanders is some raw prospect who needs years of clipboard duty before he's ready. This isn't a kid coming out of a small school with questionable competition. This is a Heisman winner who played against the best defenses in college football and dominated. This is a quarterback who's been groomed by an NFL legend his entire life. This is someone who's probably forgotten more about football than most rookies will ever learn. But according to Mary Kay and the Browns organization she's defending, Shedeur needs to sit and watch Dylan get destroyed by NFL pass rushers while the season slips away. That makes total sense, right? Here's another thing that's driving Browns fans absolutely insane. Mary Kay mentions that they're going to give Dylan a number of more starts before potentially making a change. A number of more starts. The season is already lost. You're 3-8. You're not making the playoffs. This is supposed to be a development year, and you're wasting it by developing the wrong quarterback. She even reveals something interesting when she says Dylan sounded after the game like he knows there's going to come a time when he won't be starting if they don't start winning. Even Dylan Gabriel knows his days are numbered. The starter himself is basically admitting he's on borrowed time. But Mary Kay is out here campaigning for him to get more chances.
Want to see what he can do with more of Tommy Rees over the next few weeks.
Mary Kay, as always, we thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Stay warm.
Sounds good. You too, guys.
And let's address the elephant in the room that Mary Kay brings up, Deshaun Watson. She confirms that the Browns are planning to open Watson's 21-day practice window within the next couple weeks. So now you've got 3 quarterbacks in this equation. Dylan Gabriel, who's struggling but getting protected by the coaching staff, Shedeur Sanders, who's riding the bench despite being more talented, and Deshaun Watson, who's coming back from a fractured shoulder and 2 Achilles surgeries and might not have anything left in the tank. Mary Kay even mentions that Bill Musgrave told reporters Watson is, quote, working out feverishly, doing box jumping and all kinds of things behind the scenes, and believes he's got plenty left in the tank. You know what that sounds like to me? That sounds like the Browns organization is looking for any excuse not to play Shedeur Sanders. They'd rather trot out an injured, declining Watson or continue with a struggling Gabriel than admit they might have gotten the quarterback evaluation wrong. The part that really gets me is when one of the hosts pushes back and mentions that Brian Callahan got fired in Tennessee with a rookie quarterback and Brian Daboll got fired with the Giants with a rookie quarterback. These are legitimate examples of the NFL not having infinite patience with losing, even in development years. And you know what Mary Kay says? She says Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry probably aren't in a win-or-else situation this year because ownership understands it's about fact-finding and figuring out what they had.
So, let me get this straight. The coaching staff and front office get a free pass this year because they're figuring things out, but Shedeur Sanders doesn't get a chance to show what he can do? The people who get paid millions of dollars get unlimited patience and job security, but the rookie quarterback who might actually save this franchise has to wait his turn behind someone who clearly isn't the answer? That's the betrayal right there. That's why Browns fans feel like Mary Kay Cabot sold out Shedeur Sanders in this interview. She's prioritizing the comfort and job security of coaches and executives over giving the most talented player on the roster a chance to play. She talks about how Jimmy Haslam believes in continuity and alignment in the organization. You know what creates continuity? Finding your franchise quarterback. You know what creates alignment? Everyone in the building recognizing talent when they see it and not being stubborn about draft position. Now, before you click off this video thinking I'm just here to bash Mary Kay Cabot and the Browns organization, hold up. Because there's another angle to this story that nobody's talking about. An angle that might actually make Browns fans feel a little better about this situation. An angle that might prove that Shedeur Sanders is playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Because here's what Mary Kay accidentally revealed in this interview that nobody's picking up on. She confirms multiple times that the Browns have committed to Dylan Gabriel for the foreseeable future. She talks about wanting to see more of Tommy Rees and Dylan working together. She mentions they want to give him more starts to develop. She even says they really liked Dylan Gabriel. That's why they targeted him. You know what all of that means? It means the Browns are about to make the same mistake that creates opportunities for guys like Shedeur Sanders to become legends. Think about it. Every great quarterback story has a chapter where they had to wait, where they had to watch someone else fail first. Tom Brady sat behind Drew Bledsoe. Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre. Patrick Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith. Even in this current era where rookie quarterbacks play immediately, the guys who sat and learned often become the ones with the longest, most successful careers. But here's the key difference with Shedeur's situation. He's not sitting behind an established veteran. He's sitting behind a struggling rookie who's getting preferential treatment because of draft position and organizational ego. That's not development. That's politics. And when the switch finally happens, when Dylan Gabriel has exhausted all his chances and Shedeur finally gets his shot, he's going to have the entire fan base behind him. He's going to have this narrative of being held back unfairly, of being underestimated, of proving everyone wrong. You see where I'm going with this? Mary Kay and the Browns organization might actually be doing Shedeur Sanders the biggest favor of his career without even realizing it. They're creating the perfect storm for him to come in as the savior. They're letting Dylan Gabriel absorb all the hits, all the criticism, all the growing pains, while Shedeur watches, learns, and prepares. And here's the beautiful part. Mary Kay mentions that Dylan himself knows his time is limited if they don't start winning. Well, guess what? They're not going to start winning. Not with Dylan Gabriel at quarterback. This team is too flawed, too young, too inconsistent, which means that in a few weeks, maybe by the time they head to Vegas, like Mary Kay suggests Watson's practice window might open, the desperation is going to set in. The Browns are going to be sitting at 3-7 or 4-6. Watson is going to practice and look either completely washed or not ready. And suddenly, everyone is going to remember that they have a Heisman Trophy winner sitting on the bench who hasn't taken a single NFL hit yet. Shedeur Sanders is going to be fresh, hungry, and ready to prove everyone wrong who doubted him.
Think about the timing, too. If Shedeur sits for 7, 8, maybe 9 games, he comes in for the final stretch with no pressure. The season is already lost, so any success he has is gravy. Any flashes of brilliance become highlights for next year's hype videos. Any mistakes get chalked up to he needs more reps rather than he's not the guy. It's actually the perfect scenario for a young quarterback to get his feet wet. And while Dylan Gabriel is out there getting sacked 6 times a game, Shedeur is in practice learning the speed of the NFL game without getting hit. He's studying defensive schemes without the pressure of having to execute on Sunday. He's building chemistry with the receivers in practice without the live game consequences. That's valuable time that rookie quarterbacks who start immediately don't get. Look at what Mary Kay says about Tommy Rees's offense. It's predicated on quarterback movement, on getting the QB on the run. You know who's perfect for that style of offense? Shedeur Sanders. He's mobile. He can throw on the move. He's got the arm talent to make plays outside the pocket. Dylan Gabriel is basically breaking in Tommy Rees's offense for Shedeur to take over and excel in. Plus, let's talk about the psychological advantage Shedeur is building. While Dylan is out there pressing, trying to save his job, dealing with the stress and pressure of starting, Shedeur is staying mentally fresh. He's not developing bad habits from getting hit too much. He's not hearing the boos from the crowd. He's not reading the criticism on social media about his performance. He gets to watch and learn without the mental burden that destroys so many young quarterbacks. And when he finally does get his chance, and trust me, he will get his chance because Dylan Gabriel is not the answer, Shedeur Sanders is going to step onto that field with something to prove. He's going to have that chip on his shoulder that makes great players legendary. He's going to remember every interview like this Mary Kay one, where people dismissed him as the 5th-round pick. He's going to remember everyone who said he needed to sit and learn while a less talented player got chances. That's the fuel that creates greatness. That's the motivation that turns good quarterbacks into great ones. Shedeur isn't just sitting on the bench watching Dylan Gabriel play. He's building up this reservoir of determination that's going to explode onto the field when his number finally gets called. Here's another angle that Mary Kay accidentally reveals. She talks about how this year is about figuring out what they have in their rookie quarterbacks to inform the 2026 draft. You know what that tells me? The Browns are keeping their options open for drafting another quarterback next year, which means they don't fully believe in either Dylan or Shedeur yet. But here's the thing. If Shedeur gets his shot in the final 6 or 7 games of this season and balls out, he takes that decision completely off the table. He forces the Browns to commit to him as the franchise quarterback. He makes them look silly for ever doubting him, and he does it all with less wear and tear on his body than if he'd started all 17 games. Mary Kay also mentions that the Browns are looking at potentially signing a veteran quarterback to go along with whoever they draft in 2026. That's code for, we don't trust our current guys. But if Shedeur finishes the season strong, that plan changes. He becomes the guy they build around instead of the guy they're trying to replace. The reality is this. Mary Kay Cabot might have tried to defend Kevin Stefanski's decision to stick with Dylan Gabriel, but she actually ended up revealing why this whole situation might work perfectly for Shedeur Sanders. She confirmed that the organization is committed to Dylan for now, which means Shedeur gets more time to develop. She confirmed that Dylan knows his job is in jeopardy, which means the change is inevitable. She confirmed that Watson might come back, which means even more time for Shedeur to prepare while Watson gets exposed as washed. Everything is lining up for Shedeur to come in at the perfect moment and become exactly what Browns fans have been begging for, a franchise quarterback who can actually win games. And when that happens, when Shedeur is leading this team to victories and making plays that Dylan Gabriel couldn't even dream of making, we're all going to look back at interviews like this Mary Kay one and laugh. We're going to remember how everyone doubted him, how they called him the 5th-round pick like that meant something, how they said he needed to sit and learn as if a Heisman Trophy winner doesn't already know how to play quarterback, how they wasted half a season on Dylan Gabriel before finally giving the real talent his shot. And Shedeur Sanders is going to remember too. He is going to use it all as motivation. Every slight, every dismissal, every interview where someone like Mary Kay defended the decision to keep him on the bench. It's all fuel. It's all adding to the fire that's going to burn when he finally steps on that field. So yeah, Mary Kay Cabot might have betrayed Shedeur Sanders in that interview by defending Kevin Stefanski's decision, but you know what? That betrayal might end up being the best thing that ever happened to his career, because when he proves everyone wrong, and trust me, he will prove everyone wrong, it's going to be that much sweeter. The Browns are playing checkers when Shedeur is playing chess. They think they're developing Dylan Gabriel. What they're actually doing is creating the perfect storm for Shedeur Sanders to become a Cleveland legend. And I, for one, cannot wait to watch it happen. So to all the Browns fans out there who are frustrated right now, who feel like Mary Kay sold out Shedeur, who are tired of watching Dylan Gabriel struggle, I hear you, I feel you, but trust the process, because this story isn't over yet. In fact, it's just getting started. What do you think?
Is Mary Kay right to defend keeping Dylan Gabriel as the starter, or is it time for the Browns to unleash Shedeur Sanders and see what they really have? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you're Team Shedeur like me, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss when he finally gets his shot. Because when it happens, we're going to be here breaking down every throw, every read, every moment of brilliance that proves he should have been starting all along. Let's go!